Welcome to the Digital Transformation Podcast, a podcast that connects you with the most influential players in this field who are shaping up the world around us digitally. We help you gain an edge on your competition, whether you're a small business owner, CEO, or just someone who wants to stay informed on all things digital. This is your go-to source. With your host, Michelle Cimino, the CEO of the Lasting Dynamics Group.
Hello, welcome everyone in our new episode of Digital Transformation. Today we welcome Mr. Cyril Coste, that is CDO at Digital and Growth and also Digital Transformation Executive, and recently awarded the top 100 thought leaders on technology to follow in 2022. Congratulations and welcome. Okay, Mr. Coste, it would be great if you could tell us a little more about your activities and yourself.
My core activities is basically business management, specialized in digital transformation. So I've been in the digital business for 25 years, so all of my career. And for the past 10 years, I specialized in digital transformation, analysis, implementation, strategy, executive coaching. And today, my main focus is really to advise businesses and leaders on their digital transformation programs. Another part of my activity, as you mentioned very kindly, is to produce content around digital transformation and other technologies, and to collaborate with some brands to promote their product and services.
Okay, great. We usually start our podcast with your definition of digital transformation.
What you would have asked me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I would probably have given you a different definition, okay? Because digital transformation is not something that has been fixed. The definition can change over time depending on usage and what type of technologies is emerging. So I would say at the core, digital transformation is the focus of the organization on the customer, okay? So what does it mean? We focus on customers' needs, customers' experience, how we are going to engage and deliver product and services to the customer. And based on that, the organization set up a technological stack to support this engagement with the customer. So we need to collect data, we need to process data, we need to automate. We need sensors, captors, if we are in the industry, in order to deliver faster products to the customer. We need the same sensors, captors, for example, in an office or in an hospital, if we are talking about the smart healthcare. And the idea is basically using all these data points that we've been able to collect, process them in order to support a better experience for the customer. The customer can be a B2C customer, like a supermarket, and how we can deliver a better experience in the buying process. It can be a small business. Can be large organization, of course, but also governments, cities, and also some global organizations such as the UN, who supports, for example, the islanders and people who live on islands and help them basically to stay in touch with the digital world. So digital transformation really can be anything that I've just described. While, maybe 10 years ago, it would have been probably more focused about technological aspect, maybe how we do things better, faster, cheaper. Now it's more about how do we build a competitive advantage for the business through digital technologies.
Okay, we just said that the user engagement is probably one of the key points for achieving this process, what we probably can define also as a process. I heard many times talking about introducing a gamification, using AI as a tool for UI, UX. Do you think that these two tools can be, I know there is no magic formula, of course, for it, but how do you see these two things, and do you really believe that they can help in this direction? Can they be tools for digital transformation?
So these are two very different things.
Yes.
On the gamification aspect, there is a kind of trend, mainly because of video games, because they are more and more popular, and even adults play video games. That basically this type of interface visualization, when you want to run a campaign, if I give you an Excel spreadsheet, or if I give you a dashboard that shows you basically the completion and success with some indicators about your campaign, you have a completely different experience. In one case, you have to go and deep dive in a spreadsheet and try to interpret it yourself. In the second case, you can immediately focus on what matters. It's the same approach that you can use in manufacturing on the production line. It's the same in call centers. It's the same in grocery stores. You can gamify everything, about performance, about time to market, about how fast you answer customers. Of course, everything regarding customer satisfaction, either you use NPS, CSAT, or whatever. So the gamification is part of our life because of this trend. Okay, do you need it? Not necessarily. At the end, it shouldn't change the outcome. It just help to go there faster. Just my opinion on this. AI and its implication on UX, UI. It's very interesting because recently there was some research about should you make it very easy for your customer to interact with you, to engage with you. It seems that all this research converge on one conclusion, is that you need a bit of friction during the engagement. Okay, don't make it one push button, make it two push button. And there are some rationales behind this. First one is, let's say you are e-commerce merchant. If you do it like too easy for your customer to place an order, you're going to have too much impulse buying. And by causing this, you are going to have to manage a lot of returns because people will have the buyer's regret. So basically, you want to avoid that because returns are very expensive to process. So you want to have a kind of two-step process where the first one is, oh yeah, I really want it. And the second one, when you have to validate the purchase, say, yeah, I really want it. Okay. So there is a rationale behind this friction approach with a kind of minimum friction. You mentioned AI in the process. I haven't seen yet with my clients fully AI developed UX UI. It will come. Okay, let's say we are going to have some UI who are going to be personalized based on our previous interactions with brands or demographics and what we try to achieve. So that's going to technology is getting there. Maybe one of the key limitation factors for now is speed of delivery. Let's say between the analysis and the rendering of the UX UI, there may be a lag that is currently not acceptable for a typical user. But there may be an internal cost in the management of all these different options, in all these A/B tests that you are going to run, the understanding of the algorithm for the rendering of this AI UX that may be not negligible. So as usual, benefit cost analysis, SaaS products to appear and probably buy shelf product rather than.
That's amazing. You're covering another, so connecting to other dots, saying that, for the A/B testing will be nicer to analyze potentially real time the data and adapt the user interface in a way that the user could see it even personalized. Do you think that this could potentially bring another downside that is losing a brand identity? Usually when this happens that fast might affect the identity of the platform itself, no?
I think you can keep the brand guidelines, identity, but just basically switch on some, aspect of the UI. An example, in some countries or some people prefer to see a free delivery when they check out an order online. Some prefer to see delivery cost zero. It's the same thing, but for some people, they prefer to see zero. Some people prefer to see free. Some people are more visual, so they will want to see a thumbnail of the product. Some will prefer to see extensive description of the product. So I don't think like the key journeys are going to change massively because that would be too complex to handle and to manage, my opinion again. So in your copy, that's a description. You don't need AI for this, but you need to have like two different journeys, two different copies for that. I think it's not going to be very different. I think it's just going to be some small changes.
Comment on another tweet, right? And you were stating that sometimes it feels like brainstorming is an item on the checklist, bureaucratic tool. And you are also stating that you much prefer working with a shared product backlog continuously enriched. Can you explode a bit the concept for our audience? Thank you.
Yeah, we go back to the original tweet. There was a graph where basically it was flat and suddenly you had a peak with brainstorming and the graph went down with nothing. So basically, most of the time in a product team, from a creative perspective, it's nothing except when there was like a brainstorming session. And I agreed with the graph in the sense that basically, if you wait for a brainstorming session to be creative, you miss a lot of opportunities. Okay. And brainstorming session, let's be honest, are usually either two things. They are a feel-good meeting where you feel that everybody can say anything. And yeah, we have a spreadsheet full of great ideas and nobody does anything with that. And basically it stayed on the drive. Or the second thing is you are going to have imposing leaders, basically who are going to push their ideas. And basically it's going to be a fake session where food chain meeting where only ideas from the top are going to be prioritized over other team members. So that's why having this idea that one brainstorming is going to solve all your creative issues and you are going to be great with just one time is completely wrong. But most companies feel that they need to have this brainstorm meeting. So that's why I call it a bureaucratic tool. They say, oh, yeah, we need to do that. We need to have the same, we need to have kickoff. We need to have a kickoff meeting. Yeah, a kickoff meeting is we know that all the team members never start the project on the same day, but we still have this kickoff. So just because, it comes from the old age, sometimes I feel like every project I've been maybe in the past 10 years, it has been a continual kickoff because, project enters new phase. So basically you have new people coming, some people leaving. So it's a continual kickoff. You do a kickoff every month, every 3 months. We have a big celebration for the kickoff, for the brainstorming session, for blah, blah, blah. That's kind of waterfall mentality from 80s, 90s that just, sustain. I would say maybe because they make some people at the top comfortable because they know these terminologies, they know how it's run. So I think we keep that just for the sake of keeping that really, but there is no much expectation from that. So then I say I much prefer to work with a shared product backlog, which is continuously reviewed. Firstly, the idea of a product backlog, well, technically only the product owner can add items in the product backlog. So team members can add their ideas on event stakeholders, and I prioritize after. So I decide after what goes into the working product backlog. But otherwise, product owners, their role is not to limit the creativity of people in their team or the organization. So people can add stuff. At the end, the product owner will decide what goes into development. So that's an approach whereby you can repeat at each ceremony or each new sprint if you work in Scrum that there is a backlog. Don't forget to put your ideas. One, you avoid having your ceremonies being hijacked by people having new ideas. You have a new idea, okay, fine, go directly to the backlog. No need to spend 3 minutes or 30 minutes ceremony to talk about it. Two, everybody feels valued because if anybody can add something in the product backlog, you don't basically limit it to some people who have more responsibility or fancy titles. Three, it helps also, I think, the product owner to have a better understanding of the customer needs, of maybe challenges the tech team can have, etc. So it helps the product owner, at least me, it helped me to have a more 360-degree view about the product. And this is what I always encourage, execs that I coach to do, is basically to have a tool, so a backlog that will collect all this information. And after, from time to time, it's his responsibility to go through the backlog and basically validate, invalidate the different items. Have I answered your question, Michele?
Absolutely. I'm taking notes, actually.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Digital Transformation Podcast. We hope you found it valuable. Do act on the information and take relevant business decisions to grow. We will see you in the next episode.